your stare won't ever let me go. I'm here only 'cause I'm aware with you is better than all alone. Oh, 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 say what you're dying to say. No, oh, tonight we're stars but we'll fade away. Go on and light me up, oh, go on and light me up while we're golden. Come on and light me up, oh, come on and light me up before we come down. Stars will always come down, so before we come down, down, down. Go on and light me up, oh, go on and light me up while we're golden. Come on and light me up, oh, come on and light me up before we come down. Go on and light me up, oh, go on and light me up while we're golden. Come on and light me up, oh, come on and light me up before we come down. Show me where all your secrets lie and where your wild things go. Time ain't ever been on our side, so between now and till we go home. Oh, 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 say what you're dying to say. No, oh, oh, tonight we're stars but we'll fade away. Oh, go on and light me up, oh, go on and light me up while we're golden. Come on and light me up, oh, come on and light me up before we come down. Stars will always come down, so before we come down, down, down. Stars will always come down. Go on and light me up, oh, go on and light me up while we're golden. Come on and light me up, oh, come on and light me up before we come down. Go on and light me up, oh, go on and light me up while we're golden. Come on and light me up, oh, come on and light me up before we come down.
Hello, everybody, and welcome into another week of Season 5 in the Tuesday Night Thunder Series. We got a good one in store for you here tonight as we make a return to the high banks of Talladega Superspeedway. Thank you all so much for tuning in. You're watching Austin Green on PGR eSports. Again, playoffs continue to get closer and closer, and with that, a lot of drivers starting to realize that their chance of making it to that first round is getting thinner and thinner. So here we go. Before we get things started, let's get right down trackside and get into tonight's starting grid. The driver who has been of much controversy lately, Ethan Eckert, he qualifies on pole here tonight, puts down a 54.303. It'll be Garrett Maines, the Coke Series driver, and this season Contender Series driver, if you will. He will roll off from the outside in second. Landon Delicky back in third. Richard Elliott to his outside in fourth. Matthew Baker, one of the captains for NVG Motorsports, he starts back in fifth with Mark Blundell from McCullough Motorsports to his outside in sixth. Ken McCullough Jr. in seventh with Matt Lee in eighth. Jeff Merck back in ninth, and Joshua McCullough rounds out your top 10. Chase Mistretta for Nightmare Esports. He will roll off from the inside of row number 6 here tonight with Jared Haynes to his outside, starting in 12th for the Jack Shack here tonight. Back in row 7, it's going to be Dawson Wise, who normally joins us up here in the booth, but again has been running with these guys as of late down on the track. Matthew Patton in the 14 machine to his outside in 14th. Then it's going to be Andrew Navarro back in 15th. Malik Gray starts 16th. Cody Nagels back in 17th with Dylan Jones in 18th. And you've got Daniel Eberhard in 19th and Mike Davenport rounding out your top 20. Brock Westerman will start 21st. It's going to be Christopher McCullough back in 22nd with Steve Sizemore in 23rd. And Jimmy Emos in 24th. Logan York, he'll round out the field tonight as he will roll off 25th in the O2 car. Looking at your race info again, we are in race 11. Going to be in the NASCAR Xfinity Series, the car we've been in all season, and the car that continues to deliver the best racing of all 3 series. 60 laps going to be the distance here tonight at 40% fuel. 3 sets of tires, no fast repair fixed setups as always. And then there will be that stage break at the end of lap 20. Talladega Superspeedway, just over 2.5 miles in distance, over 30 degrees of banking in the corners. And then the long straightaways with the tri-oval in the front. Starting track temp here tonight going to be 82 degrees. Weather outside 75 degrees, 45% humidity, partly cloudy skies, and winds at 2 miles an hour. It will not be a factor as we get ready for some good racing here tonight. You might notice drivers have not gotten rolling yet. It appears there is some sort of delay here. And I was kind of wondering if there'd be something, because normally we kick off the broadcast at 10:10, but these guys went to qualifying early tonight and then, of course, got gridded up earlier. So I thought maybe we just had to kick things off a little sooner, but starting to look like that may not actually be the case here, so we'll have to see how it all pans out. But as it stands, they still currently sit in the pits. We'll go ahead and pull up the scoring tower and the broadcasting overlays here as we get ready, but I was trying to see if we had some indication of what the grid was set to and as to why it's as long as it is. They've currently been sitting on the grid now for almost 5 minutes. And we can actually check right here if that grid's been extended. Yep, sure enough, countdown time to 10 minutes. And so I'm not sure if they're going to be running that out or not. We'll go get quick confirmation on that, and then we will let you know. We'll be right back. All right, yep, sure enough, going to let the grid run out here. So that countdown timer that we saw earlier, that was at about 5 minutes or so, is going to continue to wind down here until we get close enough to get things kicked off. So here's what we are going to go ahead and do. We'll go back to the blimp static cam, roll some music. We will be back here in just a couple minutes to kick off race 11 of Tuesday Night Thunder. All right, welcome back in, everybody, to Season 5 Tuesday Night Thunder Race 11 here at the high banks of Talladega Superspeedway. I know we had the brief delay, but it looks like drivers are rolling now. That means that we are getting ready to get this race started. We went through the pre-race grid and, of course, the race info. If you missed that, rewind the broadcast just a bit, and it'll be there. Don't want to go through it again because I don't think we're going to have time to quite get through all of it. But either way, the important part is the man that's starting on the pole, and that is Ethan Eckert, Landon Velicki, two drivers that have worked together a few times in the past, but have certainly been button heads as of recent. As we mentioned earlier, too, that as of right now, Eckert kind of the head of some of the controversy that's been going on in money racing. Got suspended from a few different series. Not from Tuesday Night Thunder, though, so he's going to be looking to clear that name and get himself back on top here with a victory tonight at Talladega Superspeedway. If you're just tuning in, by the way, we appreciate you being here. Hope that you are having a good Tuesday night, Tuesday evening, depending on what part of the country you're in. We put up a little poll here pre-race on if we would go green through these first 20 laps, aka through the stage. And it looks like 80% said absolutely not. 20% said yes. We'll see. We'll have to see how things pan out. I don't know. Well, it seems like the aggression now at this point in the season ramps up more and more every week. And, I mean, we saw a couple of early incidents last week. We'll see if we get more of the same this week. But, I mean, the points battle and the point scenario for a lot of drivers is what kind of determines how aggressive they're willing to be. Of course, had a big race on Sunday night over in MMS, where Ron Morris Jr., host of this series, got the job done, won himself and his team, rather, over $1,000. So hats off to Ron. Congrats over there. And a lot of drivers that were in that are in here tonight, amped up, looking for some redemption. That means that we are in store for a good one here tonight. All right, here we go. Race number 11. Pace car pulls off. Ethan Eckert, Garrett Maines lining up row 1 as the starter has the flag in hand. Here we go. Green flag is in the air. We're racing at Talladega. Lap 1 is in the books, and it goes to the 62 of Landon Velicki for NASCAR eSports, currently running that high side, getting pushed by the 12 of Garrett Maines. And it did not take long for Velicki to jump out of line to make that move to the high side and get himself in position here to try to take the lead as they work off of turn number 2. Eckert still holding strong on the inside. He's got the NBG Motorsports driver Matthew Baker behind him. And for Baker, a little bit of a new paint scheme on board here tonight. Still has the Coasting Thunder logo on board, but also notice he's got that big, bright red, white, and black PGR Intimidator Super Speedway Series logo on the front of that car. Can't forget about the PGR 500 logo that he's got on the back. Get some advertising in. We'll see him on Thursday as well. Actually, I believe Baker will be helping race control that race. We'll talk more about that later on, but right now, still 2x2 formation through the entirety of the field is Joshua McCullough. Malik Ray looking to get some organization here. Dawson Wise, he's hanging back early. By the way, we do have quite a few different driver cams. We'll be going through them here tonight. First up, man that likes to carry. Usually, we see him up here in the broadcast booth, but tonight he's going to carry an onboard for us, and that's Dawson Wise. I was going to say, this is a guy that usually kind of likes to just take it easy early until he feels comfortable and kind of sees what the pace of the field's doing. And then we'll see Dawson start to pick it up from there. But the driver out of Knoxville, Tennessee, right now just cruising around, having a good time. I would assume that he's going to be working with this man here tonight, Cody Nagels, two of the NASCAR eSports drivers that we'll see in the field tonight. Of course, we saw Velicki further towards the front. It looks like for Nagels, he's got a new scheme on board here tonight as well with the purple, white, and black 6 Chevy Camaro. And there you go. He's going to give a little wave to the driver cam. Oh, jeez. And, well, we'll move it away from Nagels for now. But, hey, nonetheless, he's having some fun here early. We'll see if he can bring home the victory here tonight. Right now, still up front, though, it's Veliky on the inside, Garrett Maines on the outside. Richard Elliott still kind of stuck in the outside, doesn't necessarily have anywhere to go just yet. And so now we're going to see some three-wide action just a spot behind Richard Elliott, as that's going to be Jeff Merck who makes the move to the high side. He's got some help from his teammate, Matthew Baker. Ooh, big move. Big block, as a matter of fact, right there from Veliky. Boy, that could have ended really, really bad. We always talk about these cars now not pushing as easy as they used to. Anytime you get hit from behind, whether the guy's squared up or not, it's going to shoot that car sideways. And so you got to be careful with those late blocks. I think that Garrett kind of cuts him a break here early. But late in the race, you're not going to get those breaks. So Veliky still determined to be in control early. Don't forget, I believe there is extra points on the table for the driver that leads the most laps. So you wonder for a guy like Veliky, if that's part of the reason we're seeing this aggression right now. I'm not sure. But either way, still 3-by-3. How about the Jack Shack entry? Jared Haynes on the inside in the number 7 machine. We've got a lot of guys in different schemes here tonight. That is another beautiful looking paint scheme for Jared Haynes. He's got the Mozo Racing, the Jack Shack JSR Mowing in Memory. Bunch of good looking sponsors and a really, really good looking color scheme there for Jared Haynes. We'll see if it's a change of luck for him here tonight, as they still remain door to door, 3-by-3 up front. As you see the 29 a little bit further back trying to make something happen on the outside. I believe that's Matthew Patton, one of the entries that we don't see throughout the entire season, kind of making a few part-time starts here and there. Good to see him out here tonight, though. We'll see what Patton can do, as he's kind of that last limb for this third lane right now. If he drops off, this third lane's going to fall. Matthew Baker still trying everything he can to hold Jeff Merck up here and in contention, as he is our final onboard view here of the night. Matthew Baker, let's actually hop on board with him here and we'll pull up the telemetry. I talked about, and I know we mention it every week, but it's always so interesting to watch when they just give these little shoves and how much it affects that car in front. Right there, look at that big shove right there. Baker tried to square him up, didn't work out. Instead, shoots Merck up the track. Now he's got to readjust, realign. You can see the momentum that cost him here as they work through 3 and 4. Now they'll get readjusted and resituated here off of 4. And now Baker maybe getting a little bit hot. He's going to drop in line. Jeff Merck probably going to cycle back behind his NBG teammate. And so just like that, third lane that formed up, made some moves towards the front, just as quickly has decimated and fallen back into the outside line. 7 of 60 laps already in the books here tonight. At the 90 of Daniel Eberhardt, he's been making his way to the front. He's up 12 positions from where he started this race at, working third on the inside in that green and blue number 90 John Deere machine. One of the 4 Mustangs that we've got in the field, the 8 of Chase Mastretta for RMR eSports just behind him. And then can't forget about Mark Vondell. He's running the Chief schemes. Ooh, got a couple off further back here. Was that a brief moment or what? Looks like Dawson Wise in the number 9 was one of them. And they all straightened it out, but let's see what happens here. Let's watch as they get into the entry to the corner. Does Matt Lee give a shove to Dawson? Ooh, something happened there. I think that's what it was. Brief check up ahead there. I think Dawson started to let out of it a little bit, and then does Lee just get him a little shot in the rear here? Yeah, he does. I think Dawson kind of saw that and partially tried to react and go down to the apron. And that may have saved him there, because I think Lee still even barely tagged him in the back. Let's watch. Yeah, that's what that was. I think Dawson saw that. He knew he was getting ready to get hit from behind, and that probably would have completely turned him around. So instead, he tried to dive off a little bit sooner. And it looks like, at least in this case, it worked out pretty well. Don't see any damage to the rear bumper. That Monster Energy Chevy Camaro. Now he's locked up with his teammate, Cody Nagels. We'll see if these two can tandem back up to this lead pack and start to work their way towards the front. As there's a 67 of Jimmy Emos in the green and pink machine. Currently runs next to Joshua McCullough. Mike Davenport in the 55, still running inside this lead pack. And here comes Dylan Jones now, as he starts to make his way forward. Malik Ray going to go in the opposite direction as he fades back 3 wide on the outside. He'll drop in just in front of that 11 machine of Dylan Jones. And so still 2x2 up front. After that third lane made that surge that we saw early, haven't seen another run since. Nobody else trying it as they stay content with the 2 leaders. Veliky has tried to be the man in control, but Garrett Maines may have an opportunity to kind of swap those roles right here. Outside, gets the momentum down the straights. The inside, the shorter way around through the corners. By the way, we always mention pit stops, and in this series, they're always so interesting because remember, you only get 40% fuel, so we're expecting that first stop here before we get to the end of the stage here. And that means, I would say, in the next 2 to 3 laps, we should start seeing drivers start to duck down to the inside and get single file here to get ready for that pit stop. Matthew Baker, Jeff Merck, though, they're going to see if they can make one more charge to the front before we get to that point. Here we go, back to 3 wide. Garrett's going to get clear. He jumps low. Looks like Richard Elliott tried to follow. Was able to break out of that tunnel vision before he made a mistake. Baker still up top. Watch for a big push now from this third lane as they work onto the back. Jeff Merck gets locked up, and there goes the number 5. He's going to charge all the way up to second. Draws even with Navarro, and now he'll draw even with the rear of Richard Elliott into 3, but it looks like they're going to jump down. Elliott, as a matter of fact, the only car that jumps down. The 29 was able to find a spot in line, and so now that's going to leave Merck and Baker up top all by themselves, and the charge to the front comes to a halt before they're able to quite get there. And it looks like now Baker, he's going to jump back in line in front of Eberhard. Merck's going to try to do the same. Eberhard goes low to give him the opportunity. And now we see the pack starting to tighten back up a little bit further back. You can see Matt Lee, another one of those Nightmare Esports teammates, right now linked up with Cody Nagels and Dawson Wise. Those 3 have made their way back to the lead pack after that kind of close call that they had just a handful of laps or so ago. As now we see Jimmy Emos in the pits. Not sure what happened to the 67. And you've got the 3 of Ken McCullough Jr., the veteran, sitting at the back of the pack right now. The 8 of Steve Sizemore for Hyper Motorsports. And I believe he may be running by himself here tonight, that Hyper Motorsports entry. Usually has some teammates out here, but not the case tonight. So for Sizemore here, he's going to have to decide which group he wants to go with this. Here we go. Nightmare Esports going to try to get this top lane rolling. There's 2 of them on the driver cams now. Lee leading the group, though. And for Dawson and Cody, this is going to be how do they want to play this out, right? They can probably get Lee to the front, but then the question becomes when they get him there, what do they do? Do they try to get him clear? Do they try to get all of them clear? Or do they just see if they can get Lee clear and then fall to the back or jump in line somewhere in between? Now you see the 29, though. Matthew Patton, he made that move to the outside, and now he's going to clog up this third lane just a little bit. We'll see if they bail on this 29 car. Sure enough, they will. Looks like Matt Lee's going to go to the inside. Nagels and Dawson Wise will follow in tow. Meanwhile, up front, 3 wide again, as this time it's going to be Malik Ray who's leading that high side. He's getting pushed by the 5 of Matthew Baker. 2 drivers with very, very aggressive mindset when it comes to trying to lead every lap and always trying to go to the front. And Matthew Baker and Malik Ray, but man, I mean, Malik, anytime we see him, he's just been one of the guys that's, you know, really kind of came onto the money racing scene. You knew he was a Coke Series driver, but it just didn't take him long to figure it out, how to get up front, dominate these races. And once he got that, I mean, now it's all about, for Malik Ray, just seeing how much money he can win pretty much each and every week. But you see all 3 of those Contender Series banners, as Garrett Maines, Malik Ray, and Andrew Navarro all going to be competing. I'm not sure if Navarro's Contender Series banner is still as of this season or not, so I know at least in terms of Garrett and Malik, those are 2 of your drivers that will be contending to try to make it back to the Coke Series for next season. Malik Ray, of course, getting a win not too long ago in the Coke Series at a hybrid Superspeedway, Atlanta Motor Speedway, and it seemed like after that is when things really started clicking for him as he burst onto the money racing scene. Looks like they're going to start to fade now. Logan York shooting up through the middle, 4th in line, and we are now at 13 of 60 laps complete. So we should be getting really close to this fuel window. I wouldn't be shocked if we see drivers make a pit stop anytime, probably about 2 to 4 laps from now. I think you can make it to 15, 16, but then once you start looking 17 to 18, that's where you start to stretch it. And so that's going to be kind of the big question of who tries to go that far and who plays it safe, goes in a little bit early, and which strategy is more effective, right? I mean, you figure usually we see that group that goes in first kind of seems to get ahead, but it's really where do you cycle out? It always seems like that group that cycles behind whoever pits first, if they're able to stay in the draft, once they get that run back to the front, it's just kind of unguardable, if you will. And so that always kind of varies depending on who pits when. As speaking of pits, looks like we're going to see our first round of stops, and it's going to be from the Nightmare Esports boys, Cody Nagels, Matt Lee, and Dawson Wise. And do they all get in clean? It appears that they do, and they will make their stop here. This should just be fuel only. I don't think they'll have enough time for tires, and certainly not 4 tires, if even any. Let's see what they decide to do here. Looks like for Nagels, yep, don't see the left side getting jacked up. Same deal for Dawson Wise and Matt Lee, so it will be fuel only. Fire out of the pipes as they rev the engines and get ready to fire off. It's a good clean stop for Dawson and Cody. Looks like Lee is going to be able to follow that trend as well, as he'll roll out just in front of the 9 of Dawson Wise. Those are your first 3 cars to pit. We'll see how quickly they can get organized. And now we watch to see, are we going to get another round of pit stops here? I think we will. Let's watch off of turn 4 here. And here they come. Looks like it's going to be Garrett Maines that leads them in. And he's going to bring a whole bunch of them down with him. So far, so good. Looks like everybody gets him pretty clean. Eckert's going to try to find an extra spot on the inside. He does. 4 wide further back. Joshua McCullough on the inside. Mike Davenport in the middle. And Christopher McCullough trying to find a way down to his boxes. Stack it up now, but it looks like they'll finally all figure it out. Garrett Maines with the advantage of that second box. He'll be able to get in and out, hopefully the cleanest here. And then Eckert, of course, with the pole position. He gets that first pit sign. So watch for the 12 here to work his way out. Who's going to win the race off? Looks like it is indeed going to be the 12 of Garrett Maines. Drag race though between him and Veliky is now we await pit stops from this final group. And I think you'll see them all make their stop right here off turn 4. Watch the 44 Navarro to lead them in here. And then watch as they fan out to make sure that everybody gets in clean. Nobody's in the same lane so that they don't run into the back of each other. And sure enough, they're going to be able to dive in it pretty deep. Navarro really diving it in deep as they get late on the brakes. But it looks like everybody again is able to get in clean. Ooh, Mark Vondel potentially with some trouble there further back. We'll go back and look at that in a minute here. For Vondel, not sure what happened, but he's slow. Coming off of 2 as Patton's going to race by. Let's back it up here as we just saw that other group get in and off clean and see what happens here to Vondel. As, oh, he's trying to get up and just nobody lets him get up. And unfortunately for the 59, that sends him in the grass as he's trying not to wreck Steve Sizemore. And let's go all the way back for Mark Vondel to see where this started here. See Christopher McCullough here. Does Chris give him a little shot here? Those two are teammates, mind you. Yeah, Chris gives him a little shot. That gets Mark out of the groove here, and Chris just doesn't give him a chance to get back up. I'm not sure if Mark had an issue or I'm just not sure there. And then Mark's trying to slide up again. Steve Sizemore can't let him up either. It's a really, really odd look, especially, like I said, for a couple of teammates that you'd think would be a little bit better chemistry than that, but either way, it's going to cost Mark Vondel here a chance at any stage points, as we will be hitting 3 laps to go here in stage 1 when we cross the line this time around. We've got Daniel Eberhardt currently leading the way, Malik Ray in second, Andrew Navarro third, Dylan Jones in fourth, and Matthew Baker rounding out this lead pack. But this is what I talked about. Garrett Maines leading the second group. He is going to have a massive run when he gets there, and the question is going to be, what does he do with it, and can that front pack do anything about it? Got to think the answer is no. It's certainly what it's been over the last couple weeks when we've seen this work out. But look at the speed right there. I mean, almost 197 getting down into turn 1 as he's pulling all that draft off of these single file cars in front. And Baker, he's going to look for a block here. Garrett will probably look a lane higher. Can Baker block? No, he can't. He's going to just try to check up the run. Now he'll stick to that middle line. Navarro's going to look up as well. Does Dylan Jones try to follow here? He does not. Baker's going to try to see if he can fend off this middle lane for as long as possible. Garrett getting pushed by the 62 of Veliky, but up front, it's still Daniel Eberhardt and Malik Ray leading this pack. And it'll be 2 laps to go. Can we keep it clean? We've seen so many times chaos coming to the stage break on that last lap, and you got to remember there's no fast repairs. How much do you want stage points? That's the question that every driver needs to ask themselves right now, because things are getting ready to get crazy. Here we go. 2 laps to go on the stage. Eberhardt still out in front. Garrett Maines leading the top. He's got the 62 of Veliky in tow, and oh man, speaking of close calls, what a save that was from Malik Ray. Looked like he got caught in the door of Jeff Merck just a little bit. He saves it, but that kills the momentum on the inside. Navarro and Eberhardt forced to move up. Now further back, Logan York's going to drop to the middle. That'll stall this third lane just a little bit, as now it's only Garrett and Veliky. Navarro's going to drop low. Now they're going to start to squeeze each other as they work through turn 3. Garrett wants the middle. Baker's not going to give it to him. Off at turn 4. Watch the surge from the outside yet again. Here comes Garrett Maines trying to take the lead up top. Navarro's still on the bottom, and Daniel Eberhardt, can he hold on from the middle? White flag in the air for stage 1. 1 lap to go. Can they make it all the way back to the green and white checkered clean? Garrett still up top now. Ethan Eckert's going to look 4 wide. Will anybody choose to go with him? No, they won't. Westmoreland stays in line. And you wonder if that car jumping out of line hurt this third lane just a little bit. Eberhardt looking for one more surge to clear Andrew Navarro's nose. Will he get it here down the back? Doesn't get anything just yet. Now Baker with a big block. Watch out. Garrett has to hold on to it. He somehow saves it, but that stacks him up out back. Looks like Elliott Hill also be able to hold on. Eckert keeps it clean. This is now a 2-lane race up front. Navarro versus Malik Ray. Will Eberhardt think about jumping out? What about Logan York? Looks like Malik's going to bail to the pits here. And that leaves Navarro as sit and duck. Looks like Eberhardt's going to jump to the outside. York chooses to go low. Drag race back to the green and white checkered, but it's going to be the 90 of Daniel Eberhardt getting the job done by himself on the outside. He's your stage 1 winner. and does it in thrilling fashion. Man, how about that for a stage win? Eberhard didn't have a push coming to the line, but he still was able to edge out Andrew Navarro right there, as I think Navarro got a push that sent him a little bit sideways and actually cost him momentum. And then again, a very odd look from Malik Ray and a few others here to make that pit stop, especially because I thought the general rule was that pits would close with 2 laps to go on the stage, but clearly not the case here for Tuesday Night Thunder. Jared Haynes, Matt Lee, the other 2 drivers that went in right there. So as Eberhard will bring it around here, they'll catch the pace car and get situated for first round of pit stops under caution. Of course, we've already seen the 1 green flag stop. Let's go back and look at this checkered flag moment here. I should say the green and white checkered moment for the stages. Yeah, I think this is what's going to happen here. So Eberhard, I think, was going to stay pretty loyal here to Navarro until he saw this inside group bail out. As soon as Malik and them jump low, Eberhard says, okay, well, I've got a chance at this now myself. He's going to jump up. I think he was trying to maybe actually cover a move there from Logan York as he saw the 0-2 jump out of line. And as soon as he sees it there, he jumps up to cover. York doesn't like that. York's going to go back down to try to push Navarro instead, but just gives him a little bit too much of a shot there in the trial. Car is not very stable in this part of the racetrack, and when he does, watch it just shoot this 44 sideways right there. Navarro's got to save it. He does a great job of it, but the problem is, as he goes to save it, that allows Eberhard, who's not sideways, to get that momentum, get by the 44, and man, if they got another, I don't know, 100 feet, maybe the 44 is able to get a comeback off the push from York, but at the line, it goes to Daniel Eberhard, and he is your Stage 1 winner. All right, so as we go back live, they will all bring it down to the pits this time as we set ourselves up for the start of the final stage. And we are going to go ahead and take our first break of the night. We'll go side by side so you don't miss a thing. Stick with us. We'll be right back at Talladega.
I played a couple of simulators and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
Make you feel like you're really driving, it feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Have created our own drink company. The fastest growing sports drink in history.
We will run! We will run! Ladies and gentlemen, we got the monkey is prime! This season, we are hydrated.
The official sports drink of the UFC. It's time! Oh, that's good.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing. Three by three. Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. Finish. Who gets it in the line? Cody Nagels wins it in Talladega.
Welcome back to Talladega Superspeedway as we get ourselves ready to start the final stage in race 11 here tonight. By the way, if you missed it, your stage winner, stage 1 winner, was Daniel Eberhardt. Got the job done. But a pretty close finish at the checkered, only got it by about a quarter to half a car length. But nonetheless, we were going to see if we could bring him up here for an interview, but he is not in any of the Discord channels, so we will not get a chance to talk to the 90, at least not yet. But with as good as he's looked so far here tonight, could very well see Eberhardt in victory lane, and that would be another chance to hear from him. So we'll have to see what happens. But as we line up for the restart here, up front, it's going to be Ethan Eckert, your pole sitter, now lining back up on this front row. Jeff Merck in second. And you've got Chase Mastretta, Mike Davenport back in row 2, Andrew Navarro, Daniel Eberhardt in row 3. And then it's Landon Veliky back in 7th, Garrett Maines in 8th, Richard Elliott 9th, and Cody Nagels currently rounding out your top 10. When we get the green flag here, looks like it's going to be about 36 laps to go here in the stage, of course, for the final stage. So still expecting at least 1, potentially 2 more pit stops. As again, they can only make it to about 15 to 16 laps. So yeah, I would expect this to be a 2-stopper from here, as you can't quite make it 35 laps on just 2 fuel tanks at 40%. Gonna have to get a little bit more. So we'll see how the drivers decide to go about that strategy. But nonetheless, here we go. Pace car going to make the left turn. Field going to go back in the hands of the number 12, the man that started the race, as Jeff Merck looks to see what he can do here. He'll be rolling off on the outside. By the way, if you're just tuning in, we appreciate you being here. And if you've been tuning in, well, we certainly appreciate you sticking around. Here we go. Stage 3. Well, not necessarily stage 3, but the final stage nonetheless is underway at Talladega. Here we go. Jeff Merck gets the better jump right out of the gate. Ethan Eckert going to try to hold a little bit of a side draft here off towards turn number 1. And he'll be able to do it. The inside pretty organized for about 4 cars, but the outside's got a little bit more help as they're about back to 5 or 6 cars. And watch for Eckert to jump up right here. If not, Merck's going to have a massive run down the back. Wasn't able to quite get clear enough. Here comes Jeff Merck. Mike Davenport, he'll now lock onto the back of the 60. You see a little bit of a bobble out of both of those cars. And that brief stack up on the outside and the inside is going to keep them both at bay for now. Nobody with the advantage just yet. But for Chase Mastretta, this is the highest running he's been so far here tonight, as the driver, the number 8, is now up 8 positions, sitting in that 3rd spot. Davenport back in 4th. And I don't know if we're at the point yet where I expect to see some of these teams that we know like to be aggressive get aggressive yet. But I mean, Malik Ray, he sure is ready to get back to the front. Looks like Brock Westmoreland will choose to go with him here. We'll see if anybody else tries to jump out to this 3rd line. Watch for Nagels to potentially jump up. That would pull quite a few of the Nightmare Esports teammates up as well. Will Malik stick with this group up top now that he sees 3 cars in front of him? Still very early in this final stage, and that means that you got to be careful. You got to keep your stuff clean. No fast repair at a big wreck. If it takes out a lot of drivers, that could certainly put the hopes of a lot of different playoff chances to a rest here. As again, we're getting close to the playoffs now. We've only got a few races left, and so mistakes at this point, if you're already kind of on the edge of being able to make it in or not, could potentially be kind of that last dagger. And at the same time, if you're close to making it in and you can have a couple good nights, you could get yourself locked in potentially, or just get a win. That's the other way to do it. Then you don't have to worry about the rest. Winning, you're in. It's the beauty of the format here for Tuesday Night Thunder. All right. Landon Veliky up top. He is now drawn back even with the 2nd and 1st place running cars on that middle line. On the inside, though, Mike Davenport still getting pushed by Jeff Merck. And, we got one off there. That's the 8 of Chase Mastretta. He's going to bobble out of line. He'll try to work back up, but he's going to have to wait until he gets back behind the 7 of Jared Haynes before there's any room to do so. That stalled the inside now. Here comes the momentum from the middle. Daniel Eberhardt, Andrew Navarro both going to get clear to drop down. And this is the exact position that Eberhardt found himself in off of turn 4 coming to the stage break. And he's going to make a similar move as he jumps out to control the middle here. Garrett Maines will push that 90. And you know what else is so interesting with these guys and everything that we talk about with how kind of touchy the cars are now when you push is different drivers can take different levels of pushes, right? I mean, you've got certain guys, especially depending on what, I think it's the wheel ratio. The point is, when we see some of those epic saves, we talk about the different steering ratios that these guys run, and if that's one of them, and we talk about the drivers up here, you got 2 guys that are on the crazy steering ratio, they usually have a tendency to be able to push each other a little bit more aggressive than guys on the more default steering ratios. So keep an eye on that. I mention that because you got a guy like Garrett Maines, Daniel Eberhardt together here. They're going to be able to probably push a little bit more aggressive And say that inside line, Davenport and Navarro, who are probably on different steering ratios. We'll see what happens as Devin Ray says in the chat, why is Microphone Boy racing instead of talking? That's what I said to Dawson, but he said he wanted to race the rest of the season. So, hey, nonetheless, Dawson doesn't want to be with us up here on Tuesday. That's fine. I'll remember that if I get down on track. No, nonetheless, just messing around. Dawson, though, he's been having a good run here tonight. I'll tell you what, I think that he's determined to get a win, and then I feel like he'll come back up to the booth. It's the same thing that we kind of saw with Baker for a little bit there in PGR, where he just wanted to get a win in the series. And then he was okay with kind of going back to the regular scheduled duties, but we'll see what happens here as we're getting ready to hit the halfway point in this race. 44 Navarro on the inside. Pat still 3x3. I mean, this has not settled down since it got started here early in this final stage. And that first pit stop, by the way, expecting that to be probably somewhere right around lap 40. Maybe give or take a couple laps, depending on what strategy you go with. As there goes Daniel Eberhard. He'll make his way back down to the bottom, trying to keep control of this field. As Dawson seeing if he can push Veliky clear. Again, that is 3 Nightmare Esports teammates lined up on the top. As now we see Eberhard work back to the middle. But, man, when you've got a guy that's controlling the inside and the middle as good as Eberhard is right now, it eventually just makes it tough for that third lane. I mean, they're relying on kind of getting enough momentum to get clear of the middle. And unfortunately, if they don't, and it just stalls out eventually, you run out of temps up top, and this is what happens. See the 62 of Veliky now starting to fade because Dawson Wise has ran out of temps. And they are going to continue to fade to the back until eventually either Dawson's able to cycle his temps back a little bit, or they're able to get a little bit more help. Oh, there they go. They're going to wreck. Big one on the front stretch here. 2 around. Dawson Wise is going to be able to survive, but it's Veliky who goes around. Is you see the side there from Dawson Wise getting involved in that one, and for Nightmare Esports, that may have been a pretty damaging wreck. We saw at least 2 of their drivers involved. We'll have to see what happens here. Man, that came out of nowhere. It looked like it must have started from the middle, however it happened. So we'll go back and take a look at this one here and see exactly what happened to Landon Veliky. Again, I'm assuming he got tagged somehow from this middle line. Watch the 8 of Steve Sizemore. We'll zoom this in for you here a little bit. Ooh, I think there's a little bit of netcode there between Veliky and Sizemore that's going to send the 8 down into Merck. And then as he comes back up, that's where the 62 is going to get sent around right here. Goes in the middle of the field. Car starts hopping around. And he's going to get hit kind of head on there by Malik Ray. Didn't look like a huge shot. And then Baker able to stay on the brakes enough to miss the 62. Mark Von Dell, he slides around the outside. And so really that wreck not as bad as it certainly looked like it was going to be initially there from the onboard view of Dawson Wise. But we'll go back here and let's watch it from the chopper view. And again, I think there's a little bit of netcode right here, but let's see. They're running pretty tight. The third lane's trying to side draft here, and as they come off the corner, looks like Veliky maybe creeps down just a little bit more. I mean, it's not much, but Sizemore's not really moving. I think Veliky just maybe creeps just a smidge down, and just slight contact there into the right side door of Sizemore. Maybe arguably a little bit of netcode as well. Either way, it sends the 8 down into the 60, and that turns Merck back up the track. He gets into Sizemore. Veliky ends up getting turned around here. You saw Dawson Wise take a little bit of a shot to the outside wall. Malik Ray runs into the 62, but then everybody else able to do a pretty good job of avoiding any contact here. And we'll go back to Dawson Wise here and zoom in on him and show you. We saw the onboard view kind of as it happened, but this is what it looked like here in the contact for the 9. How bad was it? Gets tagged there, and then it's a pretty decent shot, but I think as long as it didn't break any suspension components, Dawson should be okay. Well, unfortunately, though, I say that here. The car still riding up by the wall. I wonder if maybe he did get some suspension damage. Oh, I think he did. Look at the wheel. Pretty far to the left, and we could go back and track what it looked like here before he hits the wall. He may have just had an offset left setup here. Let's see. Hey, he already did have that wheel turned a bit to the left, so it's kind of hard for me to say here. Although, I think he's got some suspension damage. I think he broke something there in the right front. What it is, I'm not sure, but see if we can see anything here. Yeah, it's certainly caved in a little bit. We'll have to see if he's able to come in and get it repaired enough to at least continue on, and then go back here and give you a couple more looks before we go back live of the spin and the contact for Veliky and Malik Ray, as those were the 2 that kind of got the worst of it, if you will. as Malik just really nowhere to go, but it wasn't a big hit because, again, both cars were still running pretty fast in the same direction. And then give you one more look here from the pit lane view as, I mean, for Veliky Sizemore, I think that's just hard racing there. Like I said, maybe Veliky creeping out just a little bit, but these guys running each other hard as this race continues to go on and track position becomes more important. But, man, that certainly could have been a lot worse. Got away with one there as Veliky looks like he's cleaned up. And then for a couple of the other drivers, Dawson Wise still sitting in the pits, but that car continues to look better and better. And then Malik Ray, I believe he's been able to get that car cleaned up. Sure enough, that big dent that he had in the front of his Chevy Camaro is now gone. So Malik will catch the field here, get lined back up, get ready to go back green. Looks like Matthew Baker's going to peel back down the pits. And the reason I would kind of expect that here is, let's see, 28 laps to go. And so we'll have to see what happens here, as Baker obviously going to surrender the lead to Garrett Maines and Andrew Navarro here by dropping back down. Daniel Eberhardt back in third. Mike Davenport fourth. Cody Nagels in fifth. And you've got Jeff Merck back in sixth. Christopher McCullough seventh. Richard Elliott in eighth. Matt Lee ninth. And Jared Haynes rounding out your top 10. And so, again, we said it's going to be about 20, looks like it's actually going to be like 27 laps to go here when we go back green. And so now that does change the pit strategy to being officially a one-stopper. So we'll see drivers bring it down and top it off. Probably about either halfway or maybe a little bit past that. But again, that fuel window to make it to the finish opens up right around 15, 16 if you're stretching at laps to go in this race, which would be right around lap 44, 45. So we'll see when drivers decide to bring it down, as Danny Barnes says, need Austin to do a drunk broadcast. Believe me, you do not want to hear that. As Devin Ray, oh boy. And it looks like Devin Ray says happy anniversary, Don and Jeff, and that is indeed the case. Happy anniversary to Don and Jeff out there. Boy, what a present it'd be for Jeff if he could get the win here tonight on the anniversary. Excuse me. And then it looks like Trevor Osnoff says DeWalson Wise. Yeah, how about that one? Hey, I'll change it to the driver card next week. If it keeps happening, I'll set it up. We'll get DeWalson Wise, the nickname for Dawson Wise, as he got some of that damage fixed, and we'll see if he can get his way back to the front. He did make it back on track before going a lap down, and looks like that right front's a bit better. Still looks like it could use a little bit of work, but see if he's able to get it fixed up. You got to give him a name. I know in the Jack Shack, it's I thought it was Microphone Boy, as I think Devin said it earlier in the chat. That's a good one. I like that one. All right, here we go. Pace car is going to make the left turn back down to the pits. And it'll be Garrett and Navarro on the front row here. Eberhardt and Davenport row 2. And you've got Cody Nagels and Jeff Merck in row 3. All right, and here we go back into the restart zone. Green flag is back in the air. 27 laps to go at Talladega. And it's a good restart for the 12 of Garrett Maines, the 44 of Andrew Navarro. Not much help yet. He's waiting for the 55 of Mike Davenport to get to his back bumper. Davenport's going to get there, but watch what happens here. When the outside fades like this off into the first corner, they usually are able to charge up a pretty good run, but it's going to depend on, can Davenport get there? He did, but he got a little offset. That allows Eberhardt to jump up. Navarro now gives him a shot, and that might be a big enough of a push to get Eberhardt clear before they get off towards turn 3. Daniel Eberhardt, can he get the up and under move? Yes, he can. Daniel Eberhardt will go to the lead, as that'll shuffle Garrett Maines back to second. Navarro still leads the high side, and now Mike Davenport has resituated and got himself back up here to the front. I say back up here to the front, but what I should say is back up to the back bumper of Andrew Navarro. Eberhardt, though, didn't stay on the bottom for too long. And what's interesting is we see different styles of leading this group, and I think Eberhardt is maybe one of the drivers who switches lanes the most. And granted, I mean, he does a good job of it. I'm not saying he's doing anything wrong, but a lot of times we see drivers kind of sit in one lane for a little bit until they feel like it's getting hot. Eberhardt does it a little bit different. He is constantly switching. It seems like almost every time he gets a run, he switches to that next lane. So we'll see if he does it again here, but it seems like Garrett, as soon as gets him clear to the outside, Eberhardt jumps up. As soon as Navarro gets it back clear to the bottom, Eberhardt jumps back down. It's been working out so far. We'll see how long that's able to last, though, as here comes Malik Ray and Matthew Baker up top. They're going to get some help from the cavalry, as now Matthew Patton and Veliky are going to look to the top as well. Oh, there they go. Eberhardt's going to get turned back into the middle of the pack. Caution is out. Does everyone else keep it together? They do. But Christopher McCullough, I believe might have made some contact here with the inside safer barrier. Eberhard was able to get back rolling. He's got rear end damage. The front end of Eckert is destroyed. Just as quickly as we got back under green flag conditions, we'll go back under caution again. As for Ethan Eckert, that car, not quite junk, but certainly the closest thing to it. And we'll see if he's able to get it around here. Get it back to the pits and try to get some repairs, but that's going to end his competitive chances potentially here tonight as Christopher McCullough, pretty heavy damage on the front end as well. So let's go back and look at it here and see what tore up so many cars. Eberhard, we talked about all the lane switching. It didn't come from a product of that because he was staying up top when this happened. Is it just going to be a little bit of pushing in the corner gone wrong here? Watch the 44 Navarro as he gets to the back bumper of Eberhard here. Is he going to give him a little shot? Yeah, it looks like he does. Right on exit of the corner. That's the worst place you can do it. As the car's kind of unloading and just sends Eberhard down the track, gets into Garrett Maines, and Eberhard tries to save it, but instead he spins back up the racetrack. Chris is going to go for the slide here to the bottom and actually gets pinned. Oh my goodness. Wow, what a hit that was for Christopher McCullough. I don't know if I've ever seen one quite like this. Watch the 94 here. He's going to get wedged, kind of snowplowed into the wall here by Ethan Eckert. And man, look at that thing jump off the wall. Looks like he hit a ramp before it lands back on all four and actually bounces a couple times. Like he had hydraulics in the front suspension there. The way he was jumping up and down. Eckert, that's how he got all his damage. And then watch this here for Daniel Eberhard as he was the car that went back up on the track. Let's see if he got collected or collected anybody else, if you will. Looks like goes for a pretty innocent spin, and then that's about it for Daniel Eberhard. So good news for the 90 there to not get hit anymore. Overall, I think he's okay. Let's do a little bit of a different view here. Watch it from the chopper to show you that contact between the 44 and the 90 here. And again, I mean, Eberhard, you know, he knows that Navarro's not doing anything wrong here, and maybe, who knows, maybe they're communicating. He's telling him to push, but right there, just, he's not really offset, but it's just right as the car unloads, and ooh, well, I take that back. Right there, he actually does get offset, and that's when it first does get him a little bit sideways. Watch this. For Navarro here, he's got him square, but then right as they get to exit right there, gets a little bit offset left, and that's what starts to get the 90 out of shape, and then stays a little bit offset left, and it turns Eberhard down the track into Garrett Maines. And then as he goes back up, Nagel's got some damage in the rear too, as got into the back of Eberhard. That's what sent him back on track, and then was able to get through after that. Watch it from a couple of other views. Let's see here. Bam! Big hit. Christopher McCullough, as the 67 Jimmy Emos did a pretty good job sneaking through that one. Let's hop on board here with Jimmy as he had a view of this wreck unfold, and then had a pretty good view as well at the end of it there of trying to miss it. Let's see here. What did it look like from the cockpit view? Well, here's your answer. And there you go. Sees it. It's going to split the gap and then decides to go high. Good decision there for Jimmy Emos, and a nice job avoiding that one as we give you one more look at this incident here for Christopher McCullough and Ethan Eckert. This was really the first major impact we saw tonight, and I mean, for Chris, got to win this season. But fortunately tonight just doesn't work out. There's that big hit. Look at that thing go launch. And Eckert talked about the damage he got. I don't even know if a salvage yard would want that car after. I mean, man. Front end, when you get that much front end damage, it affects the aero to a point where if you don't get it fixed, you're just not going to be able to even stick with the pack. And I mean, Eckert, that front end doesn't look like it's been repaired much. They may have been able to latch the hood down, but I'd be shocked to see this car hang with the lead pack. We'll have to see what happens here as back up front we go. And guess who? Jimmy Emos now leading the pack with 23 laps to go. You've got Malik Ray on the outside, then the 55 of Davenport, and Matthew Baker in row 2, Richard Elliott and Jared Haynes in row 3. Looks like for Davenport, a little bit of front end damage here. And so we'll see how well this inside line is able to roll before guys start trying to quickly bail to the outside. And by the way, 23 to go, still not quite at the point where it becomes a one-stopper, but getting a little bit closer. We'd have to make it to right around 16, 15 laps to go. And so as it stands right now, it'll be 22 laps to go when they go back green this time. Still not necessarily go time just yet, in my opinion, but we've seen the aggression level, and you know what? Hey, for broadcasting purposes, they're going 2 and 3 wide. That makes my job easy, so I've got something to commentate versus when they get single file. I think we're past the point of that, but we'll have to see what happens here. And Jimmy Emos still looking for his first cash out of the season. Could tonight be the night? Looks like the car's clean. The only thing I worry about here for the 67 is, did he not pit to potentially try to get this track position? And either way, he was going to have to pit one more time, so I guess it's not a bad decision there. The problem is he would have to take more fuel. So we'll see what he decides to do. Veliky coasting around on the apron before he'll jump back up, slide in front of his teammate there, Chase Mastretta. All right, here we go. Pace car going to work below the double yellow line, and we'll make that left turn down to the pits. We'll try it yet again. Devin Ray predicted 3 cautions earlier. That means we got to go clean the rest of the way for you to be right, Devin. Here we go. Rolling back up into the Geico restart zone. And here we go. Green flag is back in the air. 22 laps to go at Talladega. Boy, big jump for Jimmy Emos. Too big of a jump, as Emos is going to get the lead to the line, but this is going to make him a sitting duck. Looks like the 67 thinking about jumping up here. We'll see if Emos decides to do it. And he doesn't. Jimmy's going to stay down, tucked to the bottom of the racetrack here. Mike Davenport, he's going to get up. Does he give a shot to this 67? Watch for this to get a little bit dicey. This is the first time Emos has been at the front here tonight. Davenport's going to try to square him up. No, instead he'll bail to the outside. Inside, continuing to stack up here. Elliott finally going to arrive on scene, but not before Matthew Baker and Malik Ray get clear. Davenport does as well, and all 3 of those cars are going to jump back down to the inside. And now the Jack Shack going to try to see what they can do as Jared Haynes he'll look up top. Now Davenport's going to throw a block. Big push from Haynes. Davenport's able to hold on. Now Malik's going to try to cover the high side. And all this pushing and shoving is leading to some stack-ups further back. This is where things get a little dicey. Looks like Garrett Maines, he's going to split the middle further back. Landon Veliky, he'll get the bad end of the stick on that one. And for Veliky, was worried about the guy in front of him, and usually that's okay. You don't have to worry about the guy behind you trying to split in the middle, but Garrett said, if I got a chance, you better believe I am going to take that opportunity. And now Landon was able to get some help on the outside, so he'll actually start to go towards the front after initially appearing to head towards the back. Nagel's looking to jump up. Boy, where did that run come from for Andrew Navarro? Big speed difference between him and Nagels as he shot by 4 and now back to 3 wide on the outside. And so as Navarro gets up here, can he be that extra push that this third lane needs? York was almost able to do it by himself, but not quite. Malik Ray still in the middle. He's hoping that the 7 of Jared Haynes can keep him there. A Supra. And actually, you got 3 Chevys up here inside the top 5. Looks like you've got 2 Supras and a Mustang as well. Mustang up top, 2 Chevys on the inside. And now Jared Haynes, he's going to get clear. He'll jump to the bottom in front of Mike Davenport. And what will Malik do? He's probably going to stay middle for now to try to keep Veliky from getting clear. Logan York has all but pushed this 62 clear the 1 car. Still, though, hasn't been able to quite do it yet. Matthew Patton now in position of the lead pusher in the middle. You got to wonder, does he have the temps to try to get this 1 car back clear the middle now? Or I should say back clear the inside. He's got him clear the inside, but Malik, of course, not going to take it because he knows that if he does, then Veliky's going to have the chance to jump down to the middle. That was close to contact right there. Man, that could have been a whole lot worse right there. As you saw, it looked like Veliky was trying to squeeze down, but just didn't quite have it. So they're still 3 by 3 as Matthew Patton, you see, with a little bit of a bobble there in the middle of the racetrack. That final fuel window set to open here in just about 3 to 5 laps from now, depending on if you want to be good for an overtime or not. For Malik Ray leading the middle right now, Jared Haynes on the bottom, still looking to bring the Jack Shack back to victory lane. After, of course, we saw Joe Herda get the job done earlier on in the season. And so to do that, it's going to start with getting through this next pit stop. We see a lot of racing now, and that's all, great and fun for us to watch. But at the end of the day, if you don't get through that final pit stop clean, it doesn't matter what track position you race for right now, because if you lose the pack, you're not going to have a chance at it at the end of this race. Landon Veliky, though, finally, you saw there towards the end of the backstretch, was able to set himself up for a move to get clear. Did just that, but now Garrett and Malik, they'll push back clear the 72, and so will Cody Nagels. He jumps to the bottom. Garrett not able to follow. Logan York, Andrew Navarro, Daniel Eberhardt all stacked 3 wide up top now. 18 and a half laps to go at Talladega. Malik Ray still leading the inside. Garrett Maines in the middle. Logan York up top. And at what point here do we see drivers starting to single file it down to get ready for that final pit stop? All going to depend, though, on, again, do they decide to run it long, run it short, or split it in half? We'll find out after we take a quick break. Stick with us as Garrett Maines now leads at Talladega.
I played a couple of simulators, and this was like very responsive, especially the hydraulics and stuff, the motion and stuff was really, really on point.
Make you feel like you're really driving. It feels real.
It adds so much to the experience. It's just really, really cool.
It was pretty awesome.
Have created our own drink company. The fastest growing sports drink in history.
We will run! We will run! Ladies and gentlemen, we got payout.
The monkey has prime!
This season, we are hydrated.
The official sports drink of the UFC. It's time! Oh, that's good.
Green flag is in the air. We are racing. Three by three. Almost no trouble. Around goes Alex Hill. On into the outside wall goes Hill. They're wrecking big time out back. We're not going to throw a caution. Finish. Who gets it in the line? Cody Nagels wins it at Talladega.
Welcome back to Talladega Superspeedway. Just before we do, keep it back full screen the rest of the way. I did want to show you what the payouts are looking like here tonight. This was based off, I believe, 25 drivers. Nope, looks like it was 30, and we had 25 here tonight. So maybe a little bit less, but 145 to first, 100 to second and third, 85 to fourth, 80 to fifth, and 65 to sixth, with 120 going to the championship. And by the way, I did see a message in Discord earlier. I believe it was somebody asking what the championship pot was looking like right now. And I believe, and I did want to check this before I got it wrong, but I believe they said that as of right now, there was $1,800 sitting in that championship fund. So already really good payouts that are just going to continue to go up as we get closer and closer and continue to add more money to that pot. All right, so back on track we go. Here's what it's looking like. Up front, Malik Ray leads the way in the middle. Garrett Maines on the bottom, as now Malik will jump low, though. Eberhard Navarro up top. And you saw them going by a few of the lappers right there. That was Ethan Eckert and Christopher McCullough, two of the cars that were involved with heavy damage in that last incident. And so, as it stands right now, still expecting one more green flag stop. We are now officially in that window. The question is, when do people decide to pit? Looks like Jimmy Emo is going to be one of the first ones to bail here as he goes down to the pits, and he's going to get a couple of takers. Mark Vondell, Ken McCullough Jr., and Joshua McCullough also deciding to pit right here. So coming to 12 laps to go, this should make them good enough, obviously, for the finish, but potentially for at least one overtime as well. Start to get more than that, then it becomes a little bit more interesting. And now that we see that first group go in, question becomes, when do we see this second group go in? No more 3 wide now, as they've shuffled it back down to 2 by 2. And for Malik Ray, we'll see if he cuts Garrett a little bit of a break. Well, it's not going to matter because Garrett gets clear and he'll jump down. As now Merck, Richard Elliott, Navarro, Matthew Baker, Logan York, Eberhardt, and Jones, the cars that are still remaining on the high side of the racetrack. Do we see anybody else bail this time? No, we don't. And so that makes me think that this group here maybe going to try to run this thing, maybe not all the way out, but at least 1 to 2 laps to being empty on the tank. And if they do that, I think they can still run at least 3, maybe even 5 more laps or so before they're going to have to make that final pit stop. And now here comes Daniel Eberhardt, Dylan Jones. They're looking 3 wide up top. You usually see Eberhardt and Jones try to make this move when they feel like pit stops are close. They find a different lane. They try to go to the front. That way, when everybody else pits, they can get a little bit of an advantage, get a little bit of a better lap that next lap, and get in a little bit more aggressive by not having to deal with all that excess traffic. Matthew Baker, he jumped out, and he will now lead this third lane off of turn 4. And that puts NBG 1-2 in the middle and on the high side, but Garrett Main still leading the inside. Does anybody else peel off this time? No, they don't. They'll be coming to just 10 laps to go now, and there is a lap car in the distance. I'm trying to figure out exactly who that was. Is that first group that pit, the McCullough Motorsports group, I believe. At least I certainly thought that they all got in and out clean. They certainly did. Jimmy Emos, the only driver there that was not able to stick with them. Not sure if that was because he was a little bit slow on the stop or if it was because he had to take a little bit more fuel. I think he might have had an issue, as now you see the field getting really close to this 67. That'll be the next car that they put a lap down. And in fact, that'll put Jimmy Emos 2 laps down, I believe. And now up front, man, you can see the fire out of the tailpipes. Eberhardt trying to shuffle in line there. They're going to let him. This boy, he had to kind of force his way down to the middle. Lucky that he had some help there from Dylan Jones behind to make the process a little bit easier. But still no pit stops. That makes it that much more surprising for me to see that aggressive move. For Matthew Baker, it worked out great. I mean, he got a push and rode it all the way to the front. Was able to jump down, and so now he's in the best track position for these pit stops if he's indeed able to hold it there. The other thing you're going to have to watch out for here is the fact that they're still 2 by 2. Not saying that you can't pit when you're still 2 wide, but it is a lot trickier, especially for the drivers on that outside. If just one person that's towards the back of this group isn't pitting and you've got guys trying to jump down from that outside, it can be chaos. So you got to be really, really careful about it. We'll have to see if they can all execute clean right here, especially knowing the amount of money that's on the line here tonight and a chance to get yourself locked in. Now, I look inside the top 4, and the only driver that really, really could use that lock in is Jeff Merck. If he wins and gets himself locked in, well, he's good to go. He doesn't have to worry. Merck really bailed out there, and the 60 is really slowing up. Uh-oh. What has happened here to Jeff Merck? Has he ran out of fuel, or is it a separate issue here? I'm just not sure why the 6 bailed out the way he just did, knowing that he had good track position. I mean, we see Matt Lee in the pits, but I don't know what happened here. This seems, like I said, like a really unscheduled stop here for Jeff Merck. Dawson Wise pit as well. But as far back as Merck was, I got to think that this is going to cost him big time here if he doesn't get a caution. So that could be a tough break for Jeff Merck, who will not have any draft as he works his way out of the pits now. Meanwhile, up front, it'll be coming to 7 laps to go this time. We'll see if anybody else decides to bring it down. Only 2 cars up top indicates that, sure enough, we will get some more pit stops here. Who else brings it down? Looks like Eberhardt and Jones are going to bail from the outside as well. Oh, boy, really coming in hot out back was Matthew Patton. And he may have just gotten into the rear end of Landon Velicki, but both drivers, it looked like, were able to still get it down to pace road speed, or pit road speed, I should say. And so now they'll all work into their box. So far, so good. And the last couple of stalls is going to be Matthew Baker, Landon Velicki, and Garrett Mains right here. Garrett will lock it up, slides into his box. Call here for everybody should just be fuel. Again, not really enough time or laps left to need to take any tires. And you don't want to have to wait, especially with how quick this pack's going to be working out. There you go. Matthew Baker, he will lead him out. Garrett's going to tuck in line. Malik Ray does as well. And now further back, it's a mad scramble of everybody trying to find a position here. As boy, Cody Nagel's getting a little physical there with Logan York, saying, I want this position. You're going to give it to me here. And it looks like they finally do get themselves back lined up here. And now the race is on. Everybody going to be good to go on fuel, as there's the 9 of Dawson Wise racing by, but that is just to get his lap back here Unfortunately, though, for Dawson, that is not going to be for anything else. And oh, man, almost got clear. Could have potentially dropped down in front, but instead, he's going to just have to fade here and try to stick with this lead pack. As we look at that second group, the McCullough Motorsports trio that went in early, how they fared out with all this. As it stands right now, I'm not sure if they're close enough. No, they're definitely not. You can see they are tracking down the 60 of Jeff Merck, but even Jeff Merck nowhere close enough, so they're all going to need a caution as it stands right now if they want to get back up with the leaders. And 6 laps to go, it is certainly still a possibility. You're going to see the aggression continue to ramp up here each and every lap. Still single file for about the first 5 to 6 cars. But once Nagels and company, everybody in this second group catches up, you know, they're going to jump to the outside and make a move. Cody Nagels, man, I feel like it's been a little bit since we've seen this 6 car go to victory lane as Malik Ray. Not sure what that was, but it was a close call, I can tell you that much. And now they're going to go 2 by 2. What will Cody do here? He's got an opportunity to jump to that third lane. Will he go? Yes, he does. Will Logan York follow? Yes, he does. He's going to try to give a bit of a push there to the 6 car. That is a very, very unsettling area to do it. Matthew Patton goes off track of the 29. He saves it now. York's going to bail back down to the bottom. That puts Jared Haynes now as the lead pusher up top. Veliky following, trying to help his Nightmare Esports teammate, and now it's going to be Daniel Eberhard. He'll make the jump up to the top as well. And just like that, we are 3 by 3 with 5 laps to go. And I have a feeling that they're going to be staying in this formation all the way back to the checkered flag. Landon Veliky, you saw him swap back to the bottom. Felt like there was nowhere to go up top. Daniel Eberhard still trying to make something happen. He's getting pushed by Cody Nagels. And they might need just a little bit more help. Jared Haynes is up there, but he's not tandemed on to the back of that Chevy Camaro. The purple and white Chevy Camaro for Cody Nagels. And with only those 2 cars really supporting the lead, or rather the top lane, it's just not going to work. And yeah, sure enough, right as Jared Haynes bails out, looks like Nagels and Eberhard now are going to start to fade. We'll see if Matthew Baker decides to jump up or if he sticks behind Garrett right here. Remember back, Garrett helped Matthew Baker get to a win in PGR just about a couple weeks ago. And so you wonder if maybe Baker tries to return the favor here tonight, or if he tries to go out and steal one, considering that that one car is the man that he is fighting so hard right now for that regular season championship. And of course, the more playoff points you get yourself, the better. And there's the big move. Baker going to jump up to the top. That'll answer that question of if Baker was going to stay tucked in line behind the 12 or not. He wants to win this race for himself. Got a big push, and is it enough to get clear? Yes, it is. Baker's going to go top to bottom here. And now finds himself in front of Andrew Navarro. Going to be coming up on the 2 lappers of Christopher McCullough and Ethan Eckert here. That should be the 2 last cars that they have to deal with here for the rest of the race. And maybe not. There is still one in the distance that they might catch, but they'll go 4 wide just briefly, as now it is 3 laps to go. And for Daniel Eberhard, him and Cody Nagels staying committed up top. You wonder what kind of temps does Cody Nagels have left under the hood with how long he's been pushing Jared Haynes. They're going to get a little bit more help, though, now as Dylan Jones, he jumps to the top. Malik Ray's going to leave him, and he'll bail to the middle. Speaking of the middle, they do not have much help right now. It's all Logan York trying to keep Garrett Maines in front. The bottom's really going to roll right here. Matthew Baker trying to hang strong as now, though, look at the outside. Daniel Eberhard with the surge off into 3. Garrett Logan somehow still hanging strong, and now they'll get some help from out back. Malik Ray, he's going to try to get maybe a 3-car tandem going. Well, not going to have to worry about it, though, because now Baker, he's going to move back to the high side. Eberhard still up top. The 3rd lane starts to fade again. And we're going to be coming to 2 laps to go right here. Last lap for a caution if we're going to get one. And I'm telling you, this is the point where you got to make a decision if you're in one of these front few rows. If you're the lead pusher, you're either making that decision now that you are pushing for all it's worth to get that guy clear to make a move yourself, or you are committing to make sure you have enough temps to push that guy all the way to the finish. 2-car block to the middle. Garrett Maines, Andrew Navarro now. Looks like Matthew Baker is going to take it a lane higher. Daniel Eberhard tucks in line to give him a push down the backstretch. Not enough to get him clear off into turn 3. Can they all hold it together for about another quarter of a lap or so? And they're going to go by the 04 Matt Lee. That'll put him 4 wide again just briefly. That will officially be the last lap car that they have to contend with as they now come into the trial. Still 3 abreast. Can we make it to the white flag? Yes, we can. 1 lap to go at Talladega. Who's going to get the win here tonight in race 11? Here we go. Matthew Baker on the high side. He's got the advantages now. Andrew Navarro is going to jump low, looking to see if he can get clear of the 12 of Garrett Maines, but he needs a push from out back. Nothing doing just yet. Baker up top, and now everybody kind of in that grid formation. This is where you run, and this is where you're going to finish based on how much pushing you can do. But now the inside's going to start to fade. Matthew Baker, he'll get clear of the middle as he jumps in front of Garrett Maines. Logan York's going to cross him all the way to the bottom. Garrett can't cover it. Now Baker's going to make that final dive all the way to the inside of the racetrack. And oh my goodness, look at his steering wheel. He is holding on for dear life right here. Now they're going to go 4 wide. Garrett's going to turn him. Baker's going to go around. Who's going to get through this wreck to win the race? It's Eberhardt and Cody Nagels. Does Nagels have one more look for him? He's going to look high. Now he looks low. Is it enough? No, it's not. Daniel Eberhardt gets the win at Talladega. Cody Nagels brings home second. Loses it by 0.03 of a second. And he knows how close it was. And for Matthew Baker, you saw the inputs with the wheel. Boy, he was hanging on for dear life at the end. But unfortunately, it will not work out tonight for the driver of the number 5 machine, coasting Thunder Chevrolet. But for Daniel Eberhardt, he won the stage and goes 2 for 2 as he gets a race win on top of it. So that will be one excited driver there. He did good all night too. Very consistent, very clean as always, and very competitive, and you knew he was going to be a threat at the end, and Cody Nagels going to give him a little congratulatory bump there as he'll send him through the infield. And Eberhardt will do a little burnout here across the grass in celebration. And I do want to go back and look at this finish here before we actually look at the finishing results. And where did it all go wrong here? Oh my goodness, I think we had somebody maybe get up in the air there. We'll look at that in just a minute. But so here we go. Baker was on the inside, and I wonder if York maybe kind of pushes him out of the way here. That's kind of my initial guess. But let's watch it. Let's watch it from the zoomed in view here. And so Matthew Baker, you see he's tucked to the inside. I would think at this point, Baker's probably going to stick to the bottom here. But York gives him a pretty hearty shove in the turn, and you can see right as he does, that just turns Baker down the track. And I mean, at this point, Baker's trying to save it, and as part of that, the car naturally goes up the track. Now he's kind of in an odd spot. Garrett Maines trying to square him up here, but it's just still kind of an awkward position. Baker's running a little bit slower. Garrett's only able to check up so much. And so that's a tough one. I mean, for me up here in the booth, to really decide exactly who to kind of put at cause for that, I think, from what I initially saw, I'd pin that one mostly on Logan York for getting the 5 that loose. But then that secondary wreck right there, I don't know if I can really blame either driver. I mean, like I said, Garrett, he's getting shoved through here. He's trying everything he can to not wreck Baker. But then right here, just once they get a little offset, Garrett really can't lift anymore and just tries to get back behind the 5. It doesn't work out. Baker gets turned around, and it's on from there. There's that big hit from Malik Ray. That was the car that we saw get up in the air. As big hits for a couple of the big hitters here. It's a big hit for Ray. And then Jared Haynes, nowhere to go. Davenport, Richard Elliott, they get together. For Daniel Eberhardt and Cody Nagels up front. Similar to what we saw for the stage break, where I could say for the guy in second, another 100 feet or so. It's a different story. Nagels drafted, waited till the absolute last second to make that dive down to the inside of the racetrack, and just not quite enough. Eberhardt gets him by, again, about the same gap that he won the stage by, which is about 0.03 of a second. And so a good finish there. So your two leaders. All right, as we go back live, let's take a look at your finishing results here tonight. Again, getting the race win is Daniel Eberhardt in the number 90 machine. Cody Nagels brings home second. Good run for him. Andrew Navarro rounds out the podium. Then it's Dylan Jones back in fourth. Landon Velicki in fifth. Logan York in sixth with Matthew Patton in seventh. Brock Westmoreland eighth. Jared Haynes in ninth. And Garrett Maines rounding out your top 10. Malik Ray finishes in 11th. Richard Elliott back in 12th. Then it's Mike Davenport in 13th with Ken McCullough Jr. in 14th. Chase Mastretta brings home a 15th place finish. Joshua McCullough in 16th. Mark Vondell back in 17th with Matthew Baker after coming off of 4, leading into turn 3 on that last lap. He ultimately ends up with an 18th place finish here tonight. In 19th, it's Jeff Merck and Jimmy Emos rounds out your top 20. Ethan Eckert finishes 21st. Dawson Wise 22nd. Christopher McCullough 23rd with Matt Lee in 24th. And Steve Sizemore in 25th. All right, we're going to go grab your top 3 for interviews. Stick with us. We'll be right back at Talladega. All right, we're going to start first here tonight with your race winner, Daniel Eberhardt. Daniel, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, you get the race win here tonight. In fact, you get the stage win too. And man, it looked like for once things pretty much went your way. I didn't see you involved in many wrecks. You got involved in the one, but didn't get much damage for once. And so, was that kind of the difference here tonight with how you're able to dominate a lot more than we normally see?
I think I was just in the right place at the right time. I don't call it that was pretty much a luck right there for me. I don't call it much luck in this kind of racing, but that was luck. I was in the right place at the right time, me and Cody. I didn't expect, when Baker came up, I was like, thank you. But then he just would go up and then pull me enough and almost get me clear of Garrett. And I'm like, I'm going to go down with him. And he just went down too quick and I couldn't go down with him. And luckily I didn't go down because Garrett just shoved right into him and we are all wrecking. So except me and Cody. So it was a pretty eventful race. It was cool to get a stage win finally and win one of these RMR races.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, lucky to get through the wreck, but even after the wreck, you still had to fend off Cody there a little bit. As a driver, what kind of goes through your mind in instances like that where you go from trying to fend off an entire pack to just you and one guy coming to the checkered?
You just got to figure out which side he can get to and which side has a weaker side draft. And I knew if he got to me on my left side, I would have more of a chance if he did pull me back. But what he was saying is he couldn't even get to me. So I was just trying to keep the air away from him, from benefiting him. So I ran up the track a little bit and let him apex the trial a little bit better than me. And it kept enough air away from both of us that he really didn't have any momentum.
Yeah, certainly worked out well. And man, 2 photo finishes for you there, 3 100s at the line. And I believe it was something similar for the stage break. So, hey, before we let you head out, first win of the season, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, thank you for coming on and broadcasting. I know you work your tail off doing this, all these money races. It's fun when you're out there on the track with us. So thank you to Ron for putting this series on. Thank you to everybody for a clean race today. It wasn't that bad. I mean, we were talking a little bit of junk, but it really wasn't a bad race all around. So thank you again, and y'all have a good night.
You as well. Daniel, thanks for talking to us. And again, congrats on the win here tonight. All right, and now that'll bring us to your second place finisher here on the night. For RMR eSports, it's Cody Nagels. Cody, this is Austin in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah.
Well, you come up just a little bit short, 3 100s short, but overall it's got to feel like a pretty good win, or not a win, but a pretty good finish. And we just heard from Eberhardt there that you said that you really didn't feel like there was anything else you could do coming to the line. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, I mean, I just had to be patient in the third because it just seemed like it's 83-degree track, and there wasn't really much to be had, like track position-wise. Once you lost track position, you were done. And I felt like I made a mistake giving up the middle, and I committed to Eberhardt, and I was just trying to manage temps and get to that white flag, knowing that, if we could keep equal to the leaders, I felt like, I have a chance to get through the wreck, because you know how these races usually have like a wreck at the end. I'm thinking, well, if the wreck happens, maybe I have a look at it, but the wreck happens, and there really wasn't enough time coming to the line to be able to make a move on D3. So, I mean, I'm happy with P2.
Yeah, and as a team, you had a couple of guys that were getting good finishes here tonight. Of course, Landon Veliky with the 5th place finish. And, we don't see in the Tuesday Night Thunder series all that often. We know you're not running for points. So when you come out on a night like this, what's the mindset? I mean, do you just keep the same aggression as every other race, or do you have to change it up a little bit?
I try to change it up because I'm like, the stage points don't matter to me. No fast repair. I'm trying to just keep a clean car for the end to where I can help, Landon or Matt. That's kind of where I'm at, where normally I like to run up front, but I'm trying to just keep a clean car because I know in a small field like this, I could get up front when I want to, but a person really has to pick their spots because, these guys are smart, and you don't want to get stuck up in the third if, some stupid net code happens or something. Just trying to pick my spots and be at the right place at the right time.
And it worked out tonight. You get through that last wreck to bring home a 2nd place finish. So before we let you head out to go celebrate, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, I want to thank you, Austin, for doing the broadcast. I want to thank Ron Morris for putting on RMR, all my teammates at Nightmare that I ran with tonight. I'll probably be running a little bit more now that the softball season's over. I want to thank Martin Sports, and I guess a big shout out to this Pacific Punch. This very tasty Pacific Punch that brought me some good luck in this race.
There you go. All right. Well, hey, Cody, we appreciate you talking to us. Again, congrats on the 2nd place finish, and hopefully we will see you out here again next week.
Yep. Thank you.
All right, now that'll bring us to your final podium finisher here tonight, third place finisher, and that is Andrew Navarro. Hey, Andrew, this is Austin up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah.
Well, you bring home a third place finish here tonight, and you get through that last wreck somehow. Boy, it was chaos. What'd you see through it?
All I saw was Garrett Maines, to be completely honest. I don't know. I got kind of like, I was getting like a ping pong ball in the middle there, and then the seas parted basically. So I don't really know what to do or what I could have done. So I'm just happy luck was on my side, because I thought for sure I was going to head into the outside wall.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we know that you're already locked into the playoffs. You got to win this season. So at this point, we're starting to close in on the playoffs. What kind of becomes the goal? Do you just get out there, try to keep getting wins, stack up some extra money before we get into the playoffs, or do you try to maybe focus on something that you can use when you get to the playoffs?
I was definitely trying to get stage points, which usually I would dare say, of all the time like that I've been running Ron's League, I probably am like the worst person in the stages. I've never finished up like good. Changed that this race, and I finished second. I thought I had the win, but I would have had to put a sketchy block for the stage. So yeah, just trying to gather points and stuff, because I'm a little bit behind. I've missed quite a few weeks, so just hoping to get some points.
Well, you certainly were able to get some points here tonight with the stage, and then, of course, the good finish. So before we let you head out, is there anyone you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, I'd like to thank Celebrity Cruises, 7Cs Events, Premier Racing Setups, you guys for broadcasting, Ron for putting on the league, and everybody for coming out tonight.
And thank you for talking to us. Andrew, congrats on the third place finish, and hopefully we will see you out here next week.
Thank you.
All right, and there you go. That is going to wrap up our coverage here tonight from Talladega. A good race. I agree with what Eberhard said. I think it was a great race. A little bit of a, crazy ending there with the big wreck, but those are kind of to be expected whenever we come to these super speedways. Nonetheless, Daniel Eberhard finds victory lane. Not a playoff driver, but still his first win of the season. As for everybody that tuned in here tonight, as always, we appreciate you being here. I hope you enjoyed. We'll be back next week. Until then, though, that's it for me, Austin Green, here on PGR eSports. Until next time, have a good night.